When was the last time you felt in control of your business finances? Expenses tracked, invoices sent, taxes ready. That's where Found comes in. Found brings your banking, bookkeeping, invoicing, and taxes together in one simple app. Manage expenses, invoice clients, send payments, and prep for tax time right where you bank. Join the hundreds of thousands who have already streamlined their finances with Found. Open a Found account for free at found.com. That's FOUND.com. Found is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by Lead Bank, member FDIC.
All right, ready to go? All right, and away we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome into today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. This is Jacob Milham, as usual, joined by the illustrious Jeremy Greco. Jeremy, the blue hair is still looking very blue, my friend. I love it.
Thank you. Takes a lot of effort to keep it this blue.
But does it really? Do you have a special a special coloring technique? Maybe you reach out to the Philly Fanatic or Gritty, some of those mascots that maintain their full colored hair body.
You know, the thing about them is they get it naturally, so they weren't much help to me.
I'm very
I
sorry
know
to hear
people
that.
like to say that they bleed blue, but that's not a reality, unfortunately. So
No, it is not. No, it is not. And we're here to talk about some Kansas City Royals baseball, some of the good and the bad realities with this team right now. We're recording this on Monday evening, an off day for the Kansas City Royals, thankfully. Apparently, there's a little bit of weather up there in Chicago, so hopefully we only go one night without Royals baseball rather than two, possibly. But before we get too deep into it, a reminder is always to go check out royalsreview.com, your one-stop shop for all things Kansas City Royals. Especially, I'm sitting here thinking about like this week in the minors, right? Like that's for on the Royals front, that's kind of the only thing like it. You want to keep it. We're going to talk about some Royals prospects on today's episode, one namely, and just if you want to keep a better pulse on the Royals farm system, make sure you check that out each and every week. And as always, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. You could find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening to this podcast, then you certainly have an avenue that you're already getting that from. So, all right, Jeremy, another Royals series victory in the books, this time taking 2 out of 3 from the visiting Detroit Tigers. The Royals right now sit 19-22 on the season in this very, very crowded AL just conglomerate that is a bunch of losing record teams, but like right now only 2.5 games separate the last place Minnesota Twins from the first place Cleveland Guardians. And I kind of want to look at the homestand as a whole, because you have a very important reminder for fans out there who might be down on the Royals, but this was a pretty good homestand, I would say.
yeah, so the Royals, of course, in the Guardians series, they won the first 2 and then they lost the last 2. And then in the Tiger series, they won the first 2 and lost the last one. And it's really easy to feel like you missed an opportunity by not winning those games after you'd taken the first 2, after you'd guaranteed what some people would say the minimum of what you had to do. You didn't take an extra game and lost opportunities. But I have a couple different thought experiments that I want to toss at you, Jacob.
Okay.
First of all, if the Royals had lost the first 2 of the Guardian series and then won the last 2, would you feel pretty good about that series at the end?
Yeah, I would. I would feel.
Yeah.
I would feel decent about it.
And if you lost the first one in the Detroit series, but then you won the other 2, you'd feel pretty good about that Detroit series, right?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. So that it's the same thing, right? They did the same thing. They just did it in a different order. Also, how does a 92 game win pace sound to you?
Sounds pretty decent to me. I mean, that's a notable improvement over 24 and a pretty big improvement over 25 too.
Yeah, so 92 wins, that'll win you a division most years in most divisions. Not probably in the AL East because I don't know what they're drinking over there. And not in the NL West because, well, we know what they're drinking over there and it's cash. But yeah, if you go 4-3 every week, that's a 92 win pace.
Pretty good.
It feels like, oh, it's only one more game, then you lost, but it's a lot in terms of win percentage. So the Royals have 3 straight winning weeks, 3 straight homestands or road trip wins, which is this. I think that's really the segment you should be looking at because, I've talked about this before. I'm going to say it again, and if you're tired of it, I'm sorry. Skip ahead 5 seconds. You can lose a couple games and it feels bad, but if you win the rest of the games, or you win a few games at the beginning and you lose a few games at the end, it feels bad. But it's as long as you're winning more than you're losing in a given week, or on a given road trip, or on a given homestand, you're making progress to where you want to go. Yes, they only went 4-3, but that still means that they've gone. I think it's 10 out of their last 14 or 15. They're
it's
doing
pretty good
really
rate.
well. They've gained almost all of the ground they threw away with that 8-game losing streak over the last few weeks. And you could go, well, yeah, they lost all those in a week. Sure. But that means that 1 week was really bad, but they've had 3 good weeks. Do you believe more in a team that has 3 good weeks and 1 bad? I
Yeah,
do.
I do.
So yeah, I really want people to just. There were people saying they got to go 5-2 on this homestand, or else it's the end of the season. And no, 4-3 is good. It's not just good enough; it's good.
Yeah, that it is. And 7-3 in May, that will absolutely play. 12-6 in their last 18 games after that 8-game losing streak. That's really put that losing streak in the rear view mirror, I would say.
Half a game
A
out of a
lot.
playoff spot, 1.5
Yep.
out of the division lead. They're better than everybody in the AL Central over the last 10. 2 games better than everybody over the AL Central in the last 10, except for the White Sox, who are the next opponent that we thought we'd get to cream. But the White Sox might be good. I have some thoughts about that, but we'll get to the White Sox later.
Yeah, that we will. We'll look ahead to that next series. One half of the local road trip is what I would call it. The Royals going on the road to visit the Chicago White Sox, and then just down I-70 to face off against the St. Louis Cardinals
A lot
later on
better
this
than
week.
that West Coast road trip.
Yeah, I will take one of these road trips every week. Every week. This is just fine by me. One thing so overall, I think if you would have told me when we were looking ahead to this season and some of these early series that the Royals would win this series against the Detroit Tigers, I would absolutely take that. Heading into this season, the Detroit Tigers were kind of one of those favorites to take that next step into a higher tier in the AL, being a little bit more next to the Yankees rather than the Royals, right? The Tigers are one of those teams right now that are still just underperforming despite their talent. I know the Royals missed Scooble this weekend, which was a good thing for the Royals, I will say. Unfortunately, not a good thing for the pending free agent. One thing that I really want to highlight in this Tigers series, and just since the losing streak overall, is the Royals are actually hitting well with runners in scoring position for a change. Since April 22nd, they rank 3rd in the majors. They're batting nearly 300 with runners in scoring position. And even though they lost Sunday series finale, they went 3 for 11 against the Tigers in that span. Like, that has been one of the things that we have just crushed the Royals on this year. And finally, we're starting to see what this team looks like when they start cashing in those opportunities a little bit more. And also, that series finale was a good look at, okay, so this top half of the lineup can produce. That has been an issue for the Royals the season so far. And, with Bobby, Michael leading the charge, they went 7 for 11 in those top 3 spots in the lineup, and they accounted for 2 of the 3 runs, but it was more of the 24 Royals, right? Like, the rest of the team is who went quiet. Do we need to talk about Noah Cameron?
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
What so I've actually got some pretty specific thoughts on Noah Cameron.
Okay, I want to
Um,
hear it.
it's not just he's bad now, and I don't think this is just regression from last year either. So Adam Ottavino pointed out during the broadcast last night, and hello, Adam Ottavino is a tremendous resource on that NBC Sunday Night Baseball. He offers really great insights into pitching. I absolutely have to shout him out. I don't hear any like whenever anyone talks to me about the Sunday night, they're like, Jason Benetti's so great, and it's cool to have a broadcaster from both teams in there with him, and et cetera, et cetera. But Adam Ottavino, no one's talking about him to me. He's fantastic. I've loved him in both games I've watched with the Royals. So shout out Adam Ottavino, okay? Second of all, he pointed out early in the broadcast, Noah Cameron's arm angle is down this year from last year. And he's correct. Last year, his average arm angle was 58 degrees. So far this year, it's been 50 degrees. So my first thought was, are out of whack. They'll just have to fix that. But then I went looking a little bit deeper. And what I found, Jacob, is that his fastball has a better shape with the lower arm angle. The fastball's a better pitch. Last year, he got it in the zone 55.5% of the time. He got chased 15.7% of the time. He got whiffs 12.6% of the time. This year, he's only got it in the zone 52.7% of the time, but he's getting chased 25% of the time, and he's getting whiffs 17.6% of the time, which, here's the problem. The fastball's a better shape. That's still not enough whiffs to justify it.
True.
And at the same time that the fastball has a better shape, the other pitches all have worse shapes, especially his slider, which is the pitch that has gotten absolutely destroyed. It's got a 684 Wobacon.
Oh, man. Ooh.
Now, remember, Woba is set to about OBP levels. So that's not OPS 684. That's OBP 684. But it includes, obviously, because it's on contact, it includes things other than on base, but it's weighted so that you look at it and you go, is that a good OBP? And that's Bonzian. Okay. Yeah. And why is his slider doing that? Well, his slider went from a pitch that dove down a little bit and then came back, and then actually his slider goes down and comes back glove side a little bit, to a pitch that I one thing I will complain about TJ Stats is he uses his, I think of negative horizontal break as arm side, and he just uses it as that's that goes to that direction of the plate.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so the slider was a little bit down and glove side. Now it's a little bit less glove side, but it's actually got positive inverted vertical break, or induced vertical break, excuse me, which means his slider is coming in higher than you would think it would come in.
That's
if
weird.
he just threw it without any spin. That's
odd.
That's a very odd shape for a slider. It is not what you want a slider to do. You want a slider to go down and away, down and glove side, which is what it was doing last year when it was so effective. Last year, he was getting 38.8% chase on that sucker and 31.1% whiff, which isn't great for a slider, but it's workable. And he had great Wobacon on it, 313. That's Peresian OBP. That's actually better than Peresian, but this year his slider is getting, it's getting a little bit less chase. It's getting a lot less whiff. They're making contact on it a lot better. And of course, they're hitting it a lot harder. And all of his off speed and breaking pitches, every pitch except for the fastball, is significantly worse with this arm slot. So my theory goes that they changed his arm slot trying to play up that fastball, not realizing the damage it would do to all of his secondary pitches. And I think the answer is probably, at least in the short term, get his arm slot back to where it was last year. But I don't know how easy that is to do mid-season. And so I'm very concerned about Noah Cameron, because this is not a mechanical issue. This is not a location issue, really. This is we've changed the arm slot, and this arm slot does not work for Noah Cameron.
So I do I do think that it is possible to change that arm slot. We did see that in the last month of 2025, if you recall correctly. He had about a 10-degree change over from August to September. He had about a 10-degree change. And I don't know if he can get back to that spot. Sometimes arm angles do change to help alleviate an injury. So maybe there is something going on there, but I will say this. Let's boil down all these numbers to this. Go pull up Baseball Savant. You know how Baseball Savant works. Blue is bad, red is good. A lot of blue on this page right now. There isn't something you could point to and say Noah Cameron is, he is just unlucky, or this is all situational stuff. Like right now, something is off. He does not look like the same pitcher that got the most votes for AL Rookie of the Year amongst pitchers. And, unfortunately, like this is a guy who I would say if the Royals had more healthy starters, I would say, hey, do go ahead and send him to Omaha. Let's let him work out
That's
some of this stuff in the bullpen. Unfortunately, that's not an option for the Royals right now. You got to keep him in the rotation. We'll see how Stephen Kolek does against the Chicago White Sox on Tuesday. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on.
I do think that if Cole Reagans is a minimum stay on the IL, Noah Cameron is rapidly and if Steven so it's three things here. If Cole Reagans comes off the IL quick, Stephen Kolek looks good, Noah Cameron continues to look bad, I think Noah Cameron is the demotion when Cole Reagans comes back rather than Kolek. And I think that's the appropriate way to go. And I guess the good news here is that I think if you put him back in his arm slot from last year, he starts succeeding again. So this is not like he's broken, he can't be fixed. This is you just got to do it. And once you've done it, it'll be okay again.
Yeah. I also you're talking about the shape of that slider. I think this is something where there are outliers when it comes to the whole Magnus force, looking at how balls break based on X, Y, and Z. I think this is something where the Royals pitching staff and R&D department need to say, okay, what is the seam shifted wake of this pitch? Are we getting the seams in the right direction to get the right action that we want from this changed arm slot? Because if if the arm slot changed and nothing else did, well, then what needs to be adjusted that wasn't adjusted? Unfortunately, like these are things that you hope that a player irons out in Arizona or in bullpen sessions between starts and things like that. But, we are in early May, and
I
so
will note
better late than never.
he looked pretty bad in spring training for most of spring training too. So
Yeah.
this is not like, oh, he looked so good, what happened? It was like, well, he looks bad, but he'll probably be fine because the Arizona air is not good for breaking pitches anyway. And no, his breaking pitches are bad in the regular season too.
Yep. Don't worry. Overall, tossed 95 total pitches against the Detroit Tigers, but did not complete at least 5 innings for the second time in his 7 starts this season. But he also is not giving up the long ball a lot, which was something that was an issue in his rookie season. He hasn't allowed a home run in 5 of his 7 starts,
Yeah, but
including
if
the
he
last
gives up
3.
2 solo home runs across 6 or 7 innings, that's fine compared to 8 hits in 4
Right.
innings.
Oh yeah, I absolutely. So overall, where do the Royals sit now with this? Well, they sit in this kind of mess of the American League Central right now. As we sit here and record this, the Cleveland Guardians lead the division with a perfect 500 record, 21-21. The Royals are a game and a half back, tied for third with the Detroit Tigers, and they are visiting the second place team, surprisingly, the Chicago White Sox. But all 3 of those aforementioned teams have 19 wins on the season. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the highlights from the Detroit Tigers series, and I want to start off with Bobby Witt Jr. here, who started off the work week by winning American League Player of the Week honors, really, really heating up in this first week of May. He hit 407 in his past 7 games with an .815 slugging percentage, including that absolutely incredible inside the park home run on Saturday night against Detroit, the second one of his career already. And according to Sarah Langs, noted MLB statistician, Witt circled the bases in 14.13 seconds, the 4th fastest home-to-home time among the 127 inside the park home runs in the StatCast era, just cementing his speed on the base paths. That pure gazelle motion as he rounds first base, heading to second, touching all four bags on that one. Hey, we were talking about Bobby having a slow start to the season. That's something that he's had over his MLB career. But right now, man, he is looking like that AL MVP candidate once again. And it is so fun to see Bobby round out into form like this, Jeremy.
Do you want to hear my funny story first, or do you want to hear my really cool stat first?
Really cool stat than your story.
All right. Bobby Witt Jr.'s WRC plus right this moment, after I think half of the season he's played so far, was ice cold. I think we can say that, right? His WRC plus right now, 1 point higher than his season WRC plus last year.
Really? Wow.
We could be looking at MVP Bobby again. Matthew Lamar had an article go up on Royals Review today that Bobby Witt Jr. is leading the AL in FWAR. And maybe this is finally his year. It looks like Cal Raleigh's not going to be the guy to unseat him. I have not yet checked what Aaron Judge is doing. I'm kind of scared to look. But Bobby, if he goes 30-30 again and Judge doesn't hit 50 plus home runs and win the batting title again, it could finally be the year for Bobby MVP.
Hey, that would absolutely be wonderful.
We were sitting here for the first couple weeks going, man, I don't know if Bobby MVP is a thing. That doesn't feel like it's going to be a thing now. It could be. And so the funny story is that I sat down to write the game thread, which I treat as a game preview on Friday. And I started to write my bit about the lineup, and I was like, man, if Michael and Bobby could just finally get magma hot, who knows what this lineup could do? And then I went and I looked at the stats, Jacob, and they are magma hot. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe Isaac Collins. No, Isaac Collins is magma hot. Vinny, well, he's 106 WRC plus for the month of May. These are the stats today, by the way, that I'm looking at now. 106 WRC plus for the month of May. I mean, it's not great, but it's serviceable. He's not killing every rally anymore, though. There's some stuff about he's not doing it with runners in scoring position. He's only doing it with the bases empty. If you can do it with the bases empty, he'll eventually do it with runners in scoring position. It's just a matter of getting out of his own head. He'll get there. Jack Caglione's got a 102. Again, not great, but he's batting 7th with a 102 WRC plus. He's not the problem. Nick Lofton and Michael Massey, the people are like, I don't know, we should go with the other one. 135 and 122, like they're both fine for the month of May. They're both good for the month of May, and it's a great platoon at second base right now. That's the platoon that I think they were hoping for with India and Massey, but Nick Lofton's the one who's got the 15.4% walk rate that matches his strikeout rate. Yes, Michael Massey doesn't have a walk yet, but he does have 2 home runs and a couple of big doubles. So, it's you're looking at very different players. I'm starting to think maybe you should try and figure out how to get them both in the lineup against righties at least.
Maybe.
Yeah. And the problem is, as it has been, Salvador Perez, 21 WRC plus in the month of May.
Oof.
And Carter Jensen, 10 WRC plus in the month of May. He's striking out almost 40% of the time. People were a little freaked out about Jack Caglione's strikeout rate. He's got it down under 20 for the month of May, 19.4%, but Carter is at 37.1%, almost double what Jack is doing. And I think here's the problem is that Salvi is DH only right now. He's caught like 1 game this month, which is really good for my prediction of how many games Carter Jensen's going to catch this year, but is probably really bad for Carter. Like, it's not just Salvi who gets worn out if he catches every day.
Right. We saw a little bit of Elias Diaz.
Yeah, we saw Elias Diaz yesterday. He has a negative 100 WRC plus in 6 plate appearances for the month of May. Everyone was like, well, I saw people going, he should have pinch hit instead of Lane Thomas Friday night. And, yeah, he has a higher batting average than Lane Thomas this year in like 5 at bats. Last year,
Yeah.
he was so bad at offense that the Padres traded 2 starting pitchers to get Freddie Fermin, so they didn't have to play him anymore. And this year, he was still available late in spring training for a minor league contract and stuck around and didn't opt out of it. After the Royals didn't even want him. They wanted Luke Bailey. Couldn't get Luke Bailey. They went to Elias Diaz. Don't rely on Elias Diaz's bat, okay?
No one should. And he really hasn't like had that calling card in his major league career.
He had a couple years. He had the All-Star year, I think it was 23 with Colorado, where he won the All-Star MVP with a big home run, and I think he's still riding on that in a lot of people's minds.
Meanwhile, my favorite Luca Tresh is down there in AAA Omaha with a 119 WRC plus,
which
3 home
actually
runs
represents
on the
him
season.
cooling off a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Still his highest at that level.
Royals, if Salvador Perez isn't going to catch, the Royals absolutely need 3 catchers.
Yeah,
if Salvi's
absolutely.
just a DH right now, Elias Diaz is important on their roster, but maybe it should be Luca Tresh instead of Elias Diaz. They're doing to Carter Jensen what they did to Salvi last year, which is we don't have another catcher that we feel comfortable playing. So you're in there, even if you're not hitting, because you might run into one.
So, but here's the issue with that right now. And we've seen a lot of miscues from Carter Jensen behind the plate.
Yeah, that too.
It's cost the Royals that time.
You have to wonder how much of that is because of how tired he is too, probably.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? He's a rookie, man. Like this is his first look at catching every day MLB games. And
MLB,
some of these guys, go ahead.
MLB catching in the year of our Lord 2026 is 2 days on, 1 day completely off for almost everyone. There's a handful of guys that are like 2 days on, 1 day DH, 2 days on, 1 day off. There's nobody who catches 4 or 5 games in a row except for on the Royals.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
The Tigers are sitting there. They've got Dylan Dingler, one of the best catchers, all-around catchers in baseball. No one's talking about how good Dylan Dingler is. He is very good. He hits, he catches, he throws, he does it all, baby. They still play Trevor Rogers on a regular basis.
They do.
Because you can't play him every day. And they give Dylan Dingler whole days off.
Oh, speaking of which, man, I'm just thinking about Patrick Bailey and how good he is as the top defensive catcher, and now he's on the Guardians.
The Guardians already have 2 defensive catchers who can't hit. Why did they need a third? I don't understand.
Hey, they like their versatility. They have a type. Okay, that's how it goes for them. It is absolutely crazy to me. I mean, I'm sorry. It is wild that like 2024, right? You look at Patrick Bailey, his best season, 4.3 F4 on the season. Wild stuff. Doesn't do anything on the bases. 81 WRC plus. That's how valuable he is behind the plate. And he's kind of cooled off behind the plate this season, but still a 13 WRC plus, and he's still like a top trade name.
But I want to go back to the offense, the Royals offense for just a second. So Carter Jensen and Salvador Perez are it's no longer Salvi and Vinny in the middle that's crushing them. It's Salvi and Carter. We could probably flip Carter and Jack, I think. I know that they're being very cautious with Jack because of the mental struggles he had last year. I get it. But at some point, he's going to have to hit in the middle of the lineup.
Yeah.
And he's doing pretty good right now. You've got protection for him. If you've got a Carter batting behind him, you've got a hot Nick Lofton, you've got a hot Isaac Collins batting behind him. Like, he's gonna get some pitches to hit. He's gonna have some runners on. If he's batting higher in the order, because Bobby and Michael are on pretty much. I mean, you've got Bobby's at a 386 OBP. But they're both at 386 OBPs right now. They're on base a lot. So if he's batting 5th, he's going to see runners on a lot. And with Vinny hitting at least when no one's on base, it's like, well, those two got out. Well, Vinny did get on then. um, first of all, I think that, but second of all, let's look at the 3 losses the Royals had this week. They weren't because of the offense.
No, they
Yeah,
weren't.
Cole Reagans exited the game early because he was hurt, and the bullpen is better. I think we should all be able to agree now that the bullpen looks workable. It is not the best bullpen in the American League. It's not the best bullpen in the AL Central. I think Detroit's probably got a better bullpen, and at least one other team, I'm not sure who it would be off the top of my head, probably has a better bullpen. Um, the Royals, when you ask them to pitch that many innings out of the bullpen, they're gonna suffer. And then Seth Lugo, he just got lit up on Thursday, and we hope that that's not a continuing trend for him. He had a bad start, then a good one, and now a bad one. I would like to see him put some more good ones together again, like he was doing earlier this year. But that's what happened in the Cleveland series. It wasn't the offense. The offense came back in both of those games. And then last night, it was Noah Cameron throwing 4 innings, heroically only gave up 3 runs. But when you got to go to the bullpen that early, we talked about this, the roulette, the parlay, the 6-legged parlay. Daniel Lynch has been extremely good for the Royals this year. He had to give up a run eventually.
Yep, he did.
So he did. And then Alex Lang, not been so good, but he had to pitch because, well, you can't just leave Daniel Lynch out there forever if he's not got it tonight. And you don't want to use Lucas Erceg and Matt Strahm. You want to hold them for if you get a lead. So it was the bullpen again that cost them yesterday, and not because the bullpen's bad, but because the bullpen it was the starting rotation. The starting pitchers are what hurt them in all 3 of their losses.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Doesn't feel like a thing that is going to consistently be a problem for the Royals as long as they can avoid injury. If Cole Reagans comes back as quickly as they think they will, and I have no reason to doubt it, we know that this has a very wide variance. We talked about this before, very wide variance injury, but they caught it so early that you have to hope he's on the low end of it. So, and we know that we know what the low end looks like because we know what Giordano Ventura did. He had the same thing and he missed 1 game. And maybe Cole Reagans doesn't even go on the injured list if they weren't in the middle of a stretch where the bullpen was already getting taxed. They needed to get somebody in. So that's just how it goes. I think he'll be back, and then I think Cameron goes down, and I will choose to believe at this moment that Noah Cameron is not going to be useless for the entire season. So I still think the Royals have 6 starting pitchers. The problem is they only have 4 right now, and one of them had a bad day. And I think they'll get back to 5 relatively quickly.
I think they will as well. But back to the bullpen real quick. One of your favorite Fangraphs numbers is that shutdown meltdown metric.
Love that.
And the Royals bullpen as a whole in the month of May has had 7 meltdown performances, which is tied for the second most in the league. Thankfully, they're also tied with the Detroit Tigers in that same metric. But overall, the bullpen has helped the Royals win more often than has helped them lose.
I think at this point, I do need to shout out John Schreiber a little bit.
Yeah, he's kind of turned
I
things
am
around,
on the edge of my seat every time he pitches, not in a good way, but he has strung together 4 straight scoreless appearances. If you'll grant him allowing a single run in a 1 2/3 inning performance against the Athletics, he's got 4 more scoreless after that. So that's 9 straight appearances where he's only given up 1 run. Now, he's still walking more than he's striking out over that span. He's walked 3 and struck out 2, but somehow he's getting the job done.
Well, so here's the thing. John Schreiber, he got used to having inherited runners on.
Yeah.
So he's got to put them on himself. All right. He's got to get in that mindset, right, Jeremy?
The ground ball rate is still really high.
It is, and
So
that's what helps him. That's
yeah,
what helps him.
that's absolutely what's helping him. He needs to get more pitches in the strike zone, I think. I would not count on him. Like, I'm not ready to shove him back into the 7th or 8th inning and be like, that's fine. But he's helping right now. So I'm not screaming about him right at this moment.
Hey, I do want to highlight something that went right for the starting rotation this past series, and that was Michael Wacha. I
Oh
mean,
my
holy
goodness.
smokes.
Michael
Second
Walker.
straight win. Yes. And he's just been going deep into games. Already a second start this season of at least seven scoreless innings, which is just wild. I mean, he's one of the AL's best since he joined the Royals at going that deep into games without giving up a run. And here's something that I think is just speaks to how consistent he is. That was something that I celebrated Michael Wacha for, and when we were looking ahead to this season, was just how consistent he was in the first two seasons. But right now, he's recorded at least 5 innings in each of his 8 starts this season. Okay, that helps set up that bullpen for success behind him. But he's done that in 61 of his 68 starts as a Royal. Just think about that. That is so consistent, and it's amazing. He also, like, he was just shut down when the Tigers had runners in scoring position. They went 0 for 6. Um, and all, like, he's only allowed 6 hits. Yeah, 6 hits with runners in scoring position this entire season. He is just on one right now, man. I
Yeah.
love it.
I looked at his TJ stats earlier this year, and I pulled it up again. And what's interesting to me is that first of all, I have a couple more framings I want to give you for Michael Wacha. Half of his 8 starts have been 7 or more innings with 2 or fewer runs allowed.
And
He's also got 3 starts where he went at least 6 innings and didn't give up a single run. That 3 out of 8, pretty good. If you
you
give me
got
6 innings, no runs allowed, I'm gonna say good job. You did a good. That's an above quality start, quality plus.
I was about to say, like, if we got quality starts. Maybe we should start calling them Wakas if you go 7 innings with 3 runs or less, huh?
Yeah, if you go 6-2 or 7-3, that's a Waka.
The Waka, I like it.
That's that. I get you. Got to say it with an Italian accent though. That's a Waka.
That's a Waka. I don't know if I can do that, Jeremy. That's
I
more in
can.
your wheelhouse.
It's
Yeah,
not
there you go.
racist if I do it. What's interesting is earlier this year he was getting a lot more chase and whiff compared to ever before. Looking at it again now, his chase and whiff are a little bit higher than last year, but not a lot. What I didn't notice is that his spin rates are way up on most of his pitches. Like 50 RPMs on almost every pitch, except for his four-seamer.
Yeah.
And not on the changeup either. The changeup actually lost 30 RPMs, but again, the changeup is that weird pitch where depending on what kind of changeup you're throwing, sometimes less RPMs is better. It's kind of like a knuckleball is another pitch that the fewer RPMs you get on a knuckleball, the better. Because that it's the lack of spin that confuses the batter. I also just noticed now that Michael Wacha's changed his arm angle. He bumped it
Nice.
up 2 degrees from 51 to 53. And that's changing how his pitches are coming in. His changeup is going, a little bit, it's tailing a little bit more instead of diving down. His curveball is diving down further. So his arm angle seems to have changed his pitch angles, his pitch movement in an appreciably good way. And it's not necessarily getting a lot of whiffs, but it's got guys off balance. The guys are making lots of contact, but they're not hitting it hard. They're hitting soft ground balls. They're hitting soft fly balls, easy outs, and they're doing it in early in counts. That's why he's pitching so deep into games.
Right.
And
Right.
what I also love is last year Wacha was the guy that I said he gives you 5 or 6 innings, 5 or 6, 2 or fewer, and you're happy. You don't send him out for the 3rd time through. This year, you can sit him out for the 3rd time through. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't. He's still finding success. It's pretty amazing. I absolutely love it. I know we're getting a little late here in the episode, so we got to keep it moving here, Jeremy.
Did we haven't
Um,
taken a break yet. Do we It's late in the episode. Do we wanna take a break before we move on?
Now let's just keep running. Let's
Alright,
just
power through.
keep running on through it. Yes. Michael Walker. So you or Michael Garcia, excuse me. You wanted to talk about him a little bit, and he has, he's been pretty hot in the plate, and he's doing a lot of good things in that leadoff role. He has set up Bobby Witt Jr. for success in early innings. Have has that always been the case? No, but he has scored, 5 times in the first inning for the Royals, which that has been their issue
Yeah.
this season. But the Royals, when they strike first, that means good things are 4-1 in those 5 games when Michael Garcia crosses home plate in the first 3 outs. Anything else to highlight on the Venezuelan third baseman?
I just had this random thought. I was like, "Man, maybe Isaac Collins should be leading off so we could get Michael to bat to drive runners in, because we tried Isaac Collins in the cleanup spot, and that did not look pretty Sunday." Um, but gosh, and you look at the OBPs and you go, Isaac Collins has a 400 OBP in May, and that's slightly better than Garcia's 386. But, um, what is Isaac Collins actually has a 207 ISO too,
Yeah, he's doing great things at home, man. He
compared
loves
to
hitting the
Mikel's
Kaufman.
105 ISO. I guess keep him lower in the order. I'm also but the WOBA, the X WOBA is higher for Mikel. The WOBA is lower.
Gotcha.
Collins is being a little bit lucky. Mikel is almost exactly where X WOBA says he should be. He's at 360. He should be at 368.
Okay.
And a couple times we've seen him come up and he's been really picking on pitches early in at bats, which I love. But he's still got an 11.4% walk rate. So if you throw him something hittable early, he's not waiting on it anymore. That was a big problem with the Royals last year. It was a big problem early this year where they would just watch that first pitch. They were passive instead of patient. Mikel Garcia is not passive, but he is patient. If you don't throw him a strike, he's not going to swing at it. He's only got a 9.1% strikeout rate in the month of May. He's walking 2% more off, 2% more than he's striking out. He is doing some crazy good stuff for the Royals, and he could be maybe doing a little bit better. He does not have a home run in the month of May. He could tap into that pull power a little bit more, but I'm not going to change a dang thing about him right now. That
No.
386 OBP while Bobby is going off, no, we leave it alone. You can say, I wish he did a home run, but I'm not going to say it too loud. I don't want him to hear me. I don't want him to change a thing.
No, absolutely not. And here's the thing: when you look at counting stats too, from the leadoff perspective, Michael Garcia is doing everything you want. Right? He's already got 12 doubles this season, which is like I think it's 1 or 2 behind the American League. His 13th leadoff hit of the year in that series finale against the Detroit Tigers. That should be the most in the majors as you're listening to this. The Royals ain't playing tonight, and maybe Brandon Nimmo or James Woods gets a couple more. But he's doing a lot of really good things for the Royals leading off. One other thing that I want to talk about from the Detroit Tigers series, and I posted about this on social media at Royal Rundown. If you want to give us a follow on Twitter, at Caglione, man, like I think his athleticism is just really showing up in a lot of little ways for the Royals this year. He looks a lot more comfortable, and I get it. We've talked a lot about him looking better at the plate and making a lot of strides there, but he looks like a smooth right outfielder right now, and I just like him on the base paths a lot. I'm not saying like this is going to be a guy who is going to like have 20 stolen base potential for the Royals. I don't think that's where he brings value, but like I think it was I forget who was batting, but whoever batted him in, he came from second on like a shallow single to center field, and he beat it by a good bit. And it's one
That
of
was
those
either.
it's one of those things like he's big. He's a big guy. He's not a lumbering guy though. He can move and he can scoot.
He's basically at a league average sprint speed. He's in the 49th percentile.
Right. While he's got to be in like the 90th percentile for size. So it's just one of those little things that it's like, wow, Jack Caglione, this is a major league player. This is not a guy who's still getting used to being at this level. This is a
He
guy who is ready for
I
this.
think there's probably a lot of angst about him because A, he was so bad last year, and B, because everyone wants him to be a star, and he's not a star right now. Right now, he's a solid MLB contributor. He's a
Yeah,
solid MLB starter. He's not a star. He's a starter. And the thing is, not everybody most guys aren't a star immediately. He still doesn't have a full calendar year of big league time. Let's see what he's doing in another month.
yeah, I like that.
I think the star turn will come. It may not even come this year, but he's shown that even drafting in the first round, even getting the 6th overall pick doesn't guarantee you anything, much
Yeah,
less guarantee you a star. So to
right.
have a guy that is a major league starting outfielder that they drafted and barely developed, because he didn't spend a lot of time in the minors,
Yeah,
is that's you won. You won that draft pick. Now, he's not JJ Weatherholt, he's not Travis Pisana, he's not, uh, uh, Kurtz, but, 2 of those guys were drafted ahead of him,
yep,
and
they were.
and we'll see. I think the star is in there. I
Yes.
think
Oh
it's
yeah,
in there, and I
absolutely.
think I think we just gotta be patient. We gotta enjoy the starter version of Jack, and eventually we'll get the star, and we'll be cooking with gas.
Yes, 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 yes. All right. Anything else on the Tigers series before we move on?
No, I think we've spent quite enough time probably on the Tigers series. But
But yeah,
there's just so much good to talk about, and I know a lot of people were frustrated after they lost that game yesterday, which they came back and tied. I wanna
yeah,
remind people, they came back and tied that sucker. They didn't give up. This team has really impressed me since that 8-game losing streak with their resiliency.
yes. And let's hope that they can keep this pace going and just these winning ways at home. The Royals are set to come home. I think they got Boston, Seattle, and New York Yankees on deck on
Ooh.
in their next homestand. So that will be a very tough homestand, but we will see what they do. They have a couple of really cool
I mean,
bobbleheads coming out that
l
homestand too.
it's folly to look ahead a week in
I know.
MLB because you're like,
I
"Oh,
know.
that team sucks, and they're good." The Red Sox look pretty bad. The Royals handled the Mariners.
Yeah,
The Yankees, I wanna see the Royals take on the Yankees when the Royals are hot, but we won't know if the Royals are gonna be hot for the Yankees until much closer. It's not
exactly.
like a death knell to their season. There's reason to believe this far out that, it doesn't have to be a bad series, a
Yeah,
bad
for
homestand. A
sure.
5-4 homestand, boom, do it. Let's go.
Hey, I also wanted to shout out the Royals, marketing team is who I'll say these bullpen or these bobbleheads really really cool this past homestand. And I think that if you compare them to other teams, like it's a pretty good looking product in 2026. Some of these other teams bobbleheads are just like they're kind of meh. They're for the fans specifically. But some of these, they're very, very interesting. The rock, paper, scissors one, the blazing bat, Jack Caglione was awesome. So I think if you're lucky enough to go out to Kauffman Stadium and get up one of these bobbleheads, you're in a good spot.
I'm gonna push back a little on the lights out Lucas bobblehead. That one is ugly as sin. It doesn't look
But yeah,
anything like Lucas, and at least not in the promo images I've seen. I was like, "Who the heck? That looks like the Wolf Man. I don't know what's happening with this bobblehead."
are you sure
Also,
you're
the
not looking at the
Pasquatch bobblehead,
Pasquatch?
they keep advertising it as real fur, and what they mean is, like, we put a fur-like substance on it. It's not plastic. But they keep saying real I'm like, "It's not real fur. At least it better not be real fur. No one wants real fur anymore, guys. What are we doing?"
I know I don't. Hey, let's take a quick look ahead to the Chicago White Sox series. So, like I said, the White Sox are, this isn't your grandpa's White Sox. They're doing a lot of good things in 2026. Rakami has been one of the best stories in baseball. Absolutely one of the best power hitters right now. he was a huge question mark about his whiffs. His strikeouts are still super high. He's far from a perfect player, but he still has 15 bombs and is challenging Aaron Judge for that AL lead. But on the pitching side of things, Stephen Kolek will get the ball on Tuesday for the Royals, and then Seth Lugo will go on Wednesday, and Chris Bubich on Thursday. For the Chicago White Sox side of things, we have Eric Fetty on Tuesday, Noah Schultz on Wednesday, and they don't have anyone officially listed, but I talked to a Chicago White Sox analyst, and he said Sean Burke should be in line for a start on Thursday. So that's the skinny there. We'll see what they do on the road trip. I'm definitely, this is a 6-game road trip. As long as the Royals go 4-2 on the road trip, I'm fine. I think you can drop a series to the White Sox and go out there and sweep the Cardinals. I'll be happy.
Cardinals look pretty good too.
They do.
I'm looking at this going, let's get 3-3. Get me 3-3, and I'm not going to complain because both of these teams look better than anyone thought they would look before the season started. Before the season started, you'd be looking at this going 4-2, maybe 5-1. But Jordan Walker, talk about Murakami, what he's done for the White Sox. Walker has exploded in St. Louis. Burleson's still hitting. They've got Weatherholt is up. They've got Riley O'Brien has been doing crazy things as the closer. The Cardinals look pretty good.
Yes, they do.
I will say about the White Sox, I teased this earlier. You can pitch to the White Sox. Murakami's hitting home runs. He's also striking out a lot. And when the Royals faced him, he didn't hit any home runs. They struck him out a bunch. So I think the Royals kind of have Murakami's number, and without Murakami, the lineup falls flat a little bit.
It does. It does. Very, very shallow lineup.
I'm a little worried when Kolek pitches. What's going to happen, because I feel like the way to pitch the White Sox is the opposite of the Guardians and the Tigers. You want to throw pitches all over the place and let the White Sox chase them. The Tigers and the Guardians won't do that. The White Sox will. And Kolek is not a guy who gets a lot of swing and miss, a lot of chase. But maybe he'll bring some of that back from late last year. Lugo can. He knows how to like aim for the swing and miss when he's got a team that will do it. So I'm not too worried about him. Obviously, Chris Bubich can get swing and miss all day when he's on. Not too worried about him. And one of I think Bubich's best start of the year was against the White Sox. So not worried about that. I will say I'm also worried about the Noah Schultz start, because the Royals had a couple good games against lefties, but Lane Thomas is also really low in the hitting stats for May. So you're sitting there going, we're gonna have to send Carter. I really want them to give Carter a day off against Schultz, like a whole day off. What they've been doing is letting Carter bat and then benching Jack. Flip it for this game, I think.
Well, get down with that.
The only thing I'll say is that Carter does still have the better eye, and Schultz has trouble throwing strikes.
Yep.
So if you think Carter can lay off and take the pitches, then maybe you leave him in the lineup. But I think Jack should be batting against Schultz too. Schultz is not. He's not Chris Sale. He's not Framber Valdez. He's not even Joey Cantillo. Okay, he is a rookie with control issues. He's got a lot of promise, a lot of stuff. But that's the kind of guy that's the kind of lefty that you're like, all right, let's see if you can let's raise the level a little bit, Jack.
Yeah. And Noah Schultz so far on the season, nearly 1-for-1 on his strikeouts to walks, 23 strikeouts and 16 walks in 25 professional innings. So we'll see what he does. Anything else on the White Sox before we talk about Jordan Woods?
No, I don't know which. That's why I'm saying 3-3, because I don't know which series the Royals win. The Royals could win both of those series. I think the Royals are better than the Cardinals and the White Sox. I just don't want to say you have to win both of them. As long as you win one of them and you don't get swept, I'm gonna settle for you did your job. You had your 3-3 week. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, thankfully, we will be recording another podcast episode on Thursday, so we will have an idea of how the Royals are stacking up heading into that St. Louis Cardinals series. So we'll have a little bit of a temperature check on that. Before we get out of here, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about a record-setting performance down on the Royals farm. Columbia Fireflies, the low A affiliate of the Kansas City Royals, their starter Jordan Woods was absolutely electric over 6 perfect innings, and he struck out 14 of the 18 batters that he faced. That is the most in an individual game on the minor league level this season. It matches a franchise record set back in 2018. And it's also like he's one of 2 pitchers in baseball, period, to have 14 strikeouts in a game this season. Unfortunately, the other one was Emerson Hancock, who had 14 against the Kansas City Royals earlier on this month. Now, Jordan Woods, you ain't gonna see him on a top prospects on a top prospect ranking out there, but he could be a late bloomer here. He's repeating low A Columbia after struggling at that level in 2025. He was an undrafted free agent out of Canada back in 2022. He is Rule 5 eligible this upcoming winter. But right now, I mean, this is like I get it. You get 14 strikeouts in one game. Your numbers are going to shoot up. But this has kind of been a little bit of the norm for him this season. He's got a 1.73 ERA in his 7 appearances and 43 strikeouts in only 26 innings pitched, Jeremy. That comes out to a 43.4% strikeout rate while only walking 8% of the guys he faced. He is on another level right now for the Fireflies.
He's not old for the level at age
No,
22, but
he's not.
he's not young for the level either, and he's repeating.
Yeah,
So you know what I'm gonna say, Jacob.
go ahead and say it.
Promote him. Promote him to
Yep.
high A, and let's see if he can keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as far as an accomplishment as a professional baseball player, congratulations, Jordan. That's fantastic. I'm happy for you. But as far as are you becoming a prospect? Promote him. Let's see what he can do in high A.
Yeah, I fully agree. And a slot might open up there. A more notable Royals prospect in David Shields is absolutely carving up high A
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
probably about time to promote him too.
Yeah. So the Royals tend to do like they have I call them cascading
Yeah. I call
transactions.
him
They do them
waves,
all
but
at
yeah.
once. There you go, waves. I like that too. But honestly, congratulations to Jordan Woods. Just one of those performances that I hope is well remembered
Yeah.
into your professional career.
Now the thing about Shields, though, if we're going to talk about these two guys in the same breath, we have to point out that Shields is 4 years younger than his competition at high A.
Correct.
So
There's a reason why he's a more highly regarded prospect than Woods.
I don't want to take anything away from Jordan Woods, but I don't want to take anything away from David Shields either. I know I'm going to say James Shields. I know I'm going to say James Shields. And every time I say David Shields, I'm like, did I say James Shields? And I tripped myself that time.
There you go. There you go. So, all right, Jeremy, anything else on the Royals front that we missed?
Let me check our notes. I don't think so.
No.
Oh, we didn't talk about the roster pitcher limits thing that we saw. We'll bring that up next time, and we'll hold that. There was just to tease you a little bit. There was a rumor that MLB teams are pushing on the league office that the roster limits on pitchers need to be relaxed. They want more pitchers. They've got half a roster of pitchers. They want more pitchers. But and of course, I have thoughts. I'm sure Jacob has thoughts. But we'll bring them to you. We'll bring them to you next time.
Yep, sounds like a plan to me.
Or that's an evergreen topic in a lot of ways. It was brought to our minds because of that, but that's going to wait until we don't have a lot of awesome things to say about the team, which we did this time.
Yes, we did. All right, Jeremy, let's do some quick Royals reviews. I'll go ahead and start us off here. I finished up Rob Friedman. You might know him as Pitching Ninja. I finished up
stuff.
his book. Yep. I love what he's done for baseball on social media, especially. He put out a book called Unhittable: How Technology, Mavericks, and Innovators Engineered the Next Unhittable Pitcher. Talking about technology, data, innovative coaching and how it all has come into this new era of pitching dominance in baseball. That's why I was talking about like seam shifted wake and Magnus effect and stuff like that. Like those are things that pitching development minds are looking at. And he talks to a lot of different figures. Like this isn't just, folks at it's a lot of folks at Tread and Driveline, of course, but you're also talking to guys like Tom House and Brent Strom, guys who have helped develop pitchers for decades, and looking at how Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson led into this current era of pitching.
Maybe this offseason I can get you to teach me what those fancy words mean, because I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I'm an absolute idiot. I could. There have been other times that I've pretended I'm an absolute idiot, and it's fun. I have a general idea of what those things are, but I'd love to, because I know you've really studied this topic, and I have just heard the terms, and I can associate them with the college physics courses I took.
I got you.
And be like, I think I know what this means, but I'd love to have a podcast where this off season where you can sit down and really learn me some stuff and learn everyone else some stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun. Let
Yeah,
us
I
hit,
think it would.
hit us in the comments so we can make Jacob come up with a pitching course for us. Okay.
Whoa, 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 easy there.
If everyone says they want it, he'll have to do it. That's the rules.
That is how the rules work around here. Jeremy, you got a quick review for us?
Oh, do I? I should probably have one. Listen, okay, I'm gonna throw this out here. I have not finished this series yet, or finished this first season of the series. I just saw it got renewed. It is my favorite thing on television in the past, I don't know how long. Okay.
Okay.
This is this is not just something I love. This is something I love unreasonably, that I'm obsessed with, that I will look up on the internet and be like, please tell me I'm getting more of this. RJ Decker on Hulu.
Okay. What's so
So
special
RJ
about it?
Decker, they were putting ads for it on the Hulu channel, and on I think we were seeing ads for it when we were watching the World Baseball Classic. I
We
could
were.
be wrong. But I saw it and I'm like, man, that looks funny. It looks like a private eye kind of funny little thing. That I want to check that out. That seems like it might be kind of my jam. It's not that. It's not a comedy. It is a drama. It has funny moments, and the lead actor, who I just told you how obsessed I am with this, and I can't remember his name. Um, Charismatic as hell. Scott Speedman. Never heard of him before this. Charismatic as hell, Jacob. One of the most charismatic TV leads I've seen in a long time. Like I'm talking when I saw Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was overwhelmed by how good he was for somebody I'd never heard of. That's me and Scott Speedman right now. Now, Chris Pratt kind of fell off a cliff. That's it's not my fault.
Neither here nor
Hopefully
there.
Scott Speedman doesn't fall off any cliffs.
Hopefully not.
You know, it happens to actors just like it does baseball players.
It
Um,
does.
it's a talent, okay? Scott
Okay.
Speedman, so good in this show. And it is about a man who it's a really complex backstory. So I may
Okay.
not do this justice. You may just have to go watch it. It's about a man who was a newspaper photographer, and one of his coworkers, not his girlfriend, not his best friend, just a coworker, was murdered. And
Okay.
everyone pretty much knew who did it, but the police couldn't get the guy. So he was running around trying to do investigative journalism. This is pre the show. Okay. This is all
Okay.
pre the show. He's running around trying to do some investigative journalism, taking some photos, he's following this guy, basically doing the PI thing before he's a PI. Um, trying to get this guy. And he's got a camera full of photos, and he hasn't had a chance to go through them. He's gonna go through them and see if he can find evidence that this guy did it. Some jerk breaks into his car. He sees this guy breaking into his car. He's at his braking limit because of like how nothing has been going his way. He's been overworking himself trying to get these photos, and he's really stressed out about all this stuff. So this guy breaks into his car, and he beats him up, and
Okay.
he overreacts a little. And he's on trial because it turns out that the guy he beat up was a local government official's son. So
Okay.
they're throwing the book at him over this. And it turns out that the politician is maybe a little bit dirty. And so they're trumping up evidence to make this even worse than it was, so that he'll go away for a long time. And he ends up going to prison. And when he gets out, he becomes a private investigator. So this is about an ex-convict private investigator who is so the sweetest guy of all time, who wants to make the world a better place, who says, "Yeah, I went to prison and I kind of wrongfully went to prison and I'm mad about it, but I'm not taking it out on anyone. I'm a guy he's a guy first I just a small spoiler from a recent episode. I know this is supposed to be short and it's not short. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this show. Small spoiler from a recent episode. A guy that he was in prison with. He was in prison. He saw this other guy who was bullying a lifer, and the guards never caught him. So he set things up so that the guy would punch him in front of a guard. What he didn't know was that the guy he set up was on his last strike, so he got 9 months added to his sentence. So he wasn't trying to get the guy longer term. He was just trying to get him to go in isolation for a little bit so he'd stop picking on the lifer, who was just a really sweet lifer, apparently. And then the guy gets out of prison, and the first thing he does is drive by and throw a brick through his car's window. So what does RJ Decker do in response to this? He makes some phone calls, and then he comes and finds the guy, and he says, "Listen, I didn't mean for you to get 9 extra months. I understand why you're mad at me about that. Like, I get it. I've got an offer for you here. And also this halfway house you're in now, I know this halfway house sucks because I was in it. This is a terrible halfway house to be in. I made some calls. I can get you to a halfway house in another city that's much better with laxer curfew, better situation all around. And it also comes with a lead on a warehouse job that pays really well. So if you'll call off your vendetta on me, you can go have a much better life." So instead of saying, "I'm going to get revenge on this guy," or "I'm going to get him sent back to prison," his first thought is, what if I just made that guy's life better? What if I just made that guy's life better and then he didn't want to hurt me anymore?
I like that idea.
And I that's his whole thought process the whole time. And I love it. I love the emotional intelligence. I love the wanting to do right. And I mean, it also feeds into my, he does some questionably legal things in order to get evidence sometimes.
Yeah.
But I love a little like break the law in order to make the law work kind of stuff. I love
Yeah.
it. I'm a big Leverage fan. We know this. So yeah, RJ Decker,
Okay.
terrific
All right.
show, and it's on Hulu. So I think you can watch it for free with ads. I don't remember how Hulu works. My parents pay for the ad-free version.
Gotcha. All righty, Jeremy. Thank you for the review. We're gonna go ahead and get on out of here for today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast. We appreciate you all listening out there. Make sure you follow us on social media if you want to keep the conversation going, or drop a comment down there below. Apparently, Jeremy's trying to crowdsource a pitching course, so I guess you have to cyberbully me into doing that. I think that's how this works. But anyways, go check out royalsreview.com. That's the most important thing. I'm Jacob Milham. They're Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, go Royals.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.